I ain't beats on 100, you heard?
You are tuning in to T-Consciousness. Please like, comment, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you. What's going on social media? It's T-Consciousness again, back at you with another video on Deadbeat Fatherhood. You know, this is a very epidemic issue in our community that I want to shed some light on about things that revolve around what it is, how it starts and why it's the way it is, and what we can do to change this problem. The reason why we have deadbeat fathers around in our culture and society is because a lot of these babies be hookup babies made on the contentions of sexual attraction and on and off intercourse outside of commitment. The contentions of sex in this matter with the woman and the man may not be mutual. The woman may have bred with this man for marriage or long-term relationship, but the man is there on sexual attraction to fulfill his fantasy and desires because she looks good and it feels good and it may be the most convenient sex he can get at the time out of all his options. The other issue is he hasn't went through the evolutionary transition of manhood maturity, especially if he became a father in his late teens and early 20s. He's still in the boy phase of life, and the nature of manhood and that age rank is the most horny phase to explore in life, and for women too. When a baby show up in this time frame in life, psychological anxiety of social depravity sets in, of experiencing everything in his integrational bucket list. He's not in the mental space to handle that responsibility because his mind hasn't reached the evolutionary status of growth and stability as a man. Just because he made a baby doesn't mean he's ready to be a father. That's the law of biology. You have sex, you're gonna make a baby, but it doesn't define him an adequate man to be a husband and father. It just makes him adequate to procreate. A lot of these young girls go after the guys that wear the gold chains and all these tattoos, that smoke a lot of weed and got some drug money in their pocket and a flashy nice car with rims on it that has the loudest car stereo system in it. He may be even associated with a gang. The other issue and why we have deadbeat fathers, because in some situations, the mother may be too emotionally overbearing to deal with. She tends to weaponize the baby against the man to get him into doing something for her or the child, or making changes in his social life. She may threaten to keep the baby away if he doesn't do what she say. And the mental anxiety of social depravity I talked about will go into play on natural instinct of not being ready to handle grown man business because he hasn't went through the evolution of manhood maturity. The woman's behavior in this scenario automatically tells that man this dynamic of being a co-parent with this child is pretty much a social prison he don't want to be in that has unfair rules. Her emotional, dramatic, combative, or controlling behavior doesn't make it any better. The other reason why we have deadbeat fathers is because he didn't get the fundamental keys from his father or male role model growing up to be a productive provider and protector and a man of husband quality. Another problem is a lot of things that inspire and function our culture doesn't implement anything significant to these qualities. The reason why we have deadbeat fathers who are up in age is because of the contentions the baby was born on or the problematic environment the mother of the child creates. And at the same time, the social pressure she put on him to be in his child's life, he had to live up to her expectations and doing stuff that would satisfy her to grant him access to the pleasure of her body. He may be ashamed of her reputation to the point where he can't co-parent with her before the eyes of the community because she may be some ran through woman that everybody been with, and he got with her in the circumstances of having low options and needing to get off, and then a baby is born. Another reason why we have deadbeat fatherhood in our communities because a lot of the men who are deadbeat fathers were such in deep love with the mother, deep infatuation of lust or whatever with the mom, and when the relationship ran its course, when she had no other choice to break up with him for whatever reason, he never moved on, and he's still emotionally attached and sexually attached to the point where he doesn't find co-parenting desirable enough if he can't experience intimacy that they had in the active relationship that's inactive now due to whatever circumstances that brought it to its end. Men can't stick around and watch her be in love with another guy or intimate with somebody else, and he's just there to help handle that baby Because a lot of guys can't compartmentalize intimacy from co-parency, and a guy who thinks that way, there's no reversing that. Men in these situations become combative with the mother or combative with her intimate partner because he can't deal with the circumstances of not being intimate with the mother of his child anymore. A lot of deadbeat fathers are here because the overbearingness of the mother they grew up with. Pretty much the mother that raised you, you attract a woman of her likeness. They're not just running from the baby in these situations, they're running from the problematic mom that is parallel to the problematic issues they experienced facing their own mom growing up. What they're doing is running from a nightmare from their childhood. Being bombarded with the psychological debt and trauma of that can stunt their growth into manhood, and they tend to look for many different women to sleep with to gain a sense of reality in their manhood. And that's the worst way to go about being a man. It's bad enough the social logics of the culture puts emphasis on a man being a real man if he sleeps with a lot of women. That doesn't implement anything in productivity to manhood growth for long-term stability. What you need to do is go through the process of healing and find out the origin of your problems and the part you played in them and how to change and find out what your purpose is. Another reason why we have deadbeat fatherhood in our community is because of our women's poor monogamous selectivity. They tend to gravitate toward the criminals or men who are inadequate to be husbands and fathers because they lacked a productive father role growing up in their life that demonstrated healthy monogamy to their mother, or they didn't have a mother who implemented these qualities before their daughters. And the other problem is Black Hollywood. We perpetuate a lot of things we see in Black movies and in the music, and it pretty much civilizes our sociological order and our social and sexual instincts to hypercriminality and hypersexuality. In this culture, women believe that love is not real love if it doesn't make her suffer. If it doesn't put her through a lot of traumatic changes, it's not worth her while being in. That's why they love men in prison, and that comes from slavery, the sex farm breeding, because these facilities where Black men were kept in chains as sex farm animals, the women worked on the plantations of these facilities and they kept the men locked up. And you know, naturally, when a woman has sex with a man, she becomes internally, sentimentally involved with that man, you know, on an emotional level. This comes from sex farm breeding and slavery, where men were kept chained up as prisoners on these sex farm plantations, and the women were the workers of the plantation. And the people that ran these facilities bred the men with the women that worked on the plantation. They were bed wenches. This is where that bed wench behavior comes from. It goes back generations, you know, and it pretty much intergenerationally transmutated biologically. That bed wench behavior, civilized to find love desirable with men of prison, comes from. Little hot girls that deal with criminals from the prison are prison bed wenches, and this stems from slavery, sex farm breeding prisons, where men were kept in chains in these facilities and the women worked, and they were bred by the white power that ran these plantations. But that's it for today. I can go on and on about this. You'll see me next time when I upload my next content. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Thank you.